But let's get focused in right here on match number 1. We need to get things rolling, get things going between Oxygen and eUnited. And Oxygen, disappointing 2-0 defeat to Vanquish. eUnited, though, I hate to say it, it's probably more disappointing for them to drop 2-1 to Rise. Even though they're the oldest of rivals in the book, they do not, under any circumstance, want to lose this week. Going into a major, I think they want it to be perfect from Sunday to Sunday, start to finish, and wrap it up with a chip at the end of the day. But here they go. They find themselves first day of the week in their competitive play with a loss to Rise. PR, which map or which team do you think has a little bit more to prove coming into this matchup?
Honestly, I want to say Oxygen. There's a lot of players on this team I like, especially Jippery McLeod on the coaching staff. But right now, eUnited, we're having the makings of finding their history, reclaiming that throne of being one of the most dominant teams in the game. And then you lose to Rise, a team that has shown so many inconsistencies. So honestly, I think eUnited has a little bit more to prove over the Oxygen, even though they're fighting for their lives down low on the relegation. This is going to be a match for eUnited to really show what they have going into the major. I don't think they're going to test too many things. I think they want to let this one be a quick match and try to find out what their scrim is, what their practice schedule is, because I don't think it's going to end here after the Pro League for eUnited and some of these teams. They're going to have to go right back into the lab and get some more practice after today's Pro League matches.
Well, we definitely have a player to watch. And speaking of noble and former teams and fighting against relegation, this man, Abolics, wants to not only outplace his former team, he wants to show them that he was not the piece of the puzzle that should have been dropped and is now missing from Noble's success. You can see it, though. One of the things that I think is very interesting for me is that he is 4th right there. Percentage of team kills. He's doing damn near everything for his squad, trying to keep them in these games. I mean, that's just impressive. When you think of some of the other players we got in our league, like a Monkeys, a Precision, and a Cells, he is 4th overall in percentage of team kills in our league, PR.
Yeah, that puts a lot of pressure on Abolics to perform on so many different levels, because you can look at the roster, you'd think he's the main slayer, but he also has the most experience. So you almost got to look at him as the IGL of sorts. You're looking at which the moves are we going to make. And then obviously when things get rough, you look at a player like this to kind of pull you back up, uplift you, and get you back into the game. So to me, that is phenomenal for him to have number 4 in percentage of the team's kills. But obviously stats don't tell you the full picture, which is why Oxygen Esports is going through this turmoil, going through this speed bump, and going through the hiccup after such a dominating challenger performance.
Well, one of the things that they're going to have to do is figure out where those speed bumps might be on the maps that they've decided to go against eUnited on. And one of the things that I'm definitely interested in is to see this map pool after last night. And already Oxygen, they saw that map 3 last night on Exhibit. They saw how eUnited was kind of picked apart in a lot of those rounds against Rise. So Oxygen says, let's start things off hot. Let's try to get a quick map 1 victory over them. No matter what happens on Foundation, we'll get to see Training Ground. If we win map 1, we're guaranteed to see a map 3. So I really like the way that they played this out.
Yeah, no, this map cycle is definitely looking scary, though, for me. Like I talked about, and you asked me that question about having more to prove. eUnited definitely has more to prove. They got their pick in Foundation locked in. You know how they're going to perform. They're going to be quick. They're going to be good and first to make those moves. Exhibit, you went ahead and hit the nail on the head. You talk about that defeat from Rise last night. But with something to prove, eUnited, this is sort of a practice pick as well. Oxygen is kind of playing into eUnited's hands. So I'm going to go ahead and take it first. I want to be the first to go ahead in predictions because I think right now, eUnited has so much to prove that this is going to be scary. And right now, you have that flame lit in Oxygen, right? And you're just going to get it suffocated out. That oxygen is going to be depleted off of that flame. The fire is going to go out, and Oxygen has a chance to face relegation because eUnited is going to come out on fire. They're going to close this one out quick, and we're going to be able to see match number 2 in no time.
Hey, look, I'm going to try to be quick and easy with this. Let me just check my contractual obligations. eUnited is playing eUnited over Oxygen. I'm just going to make sure everybody knows that I'm picking them right off the bat, baby. And I know there's no way Chad's going to go against us. You see eUnited for you and I. They're smart enough. They're quick enough. They know that they're going against eUnited in this matchup is probably going to get them twisted sooner or later. And there it is. They're rocking with the red and blue as well. So Oxygen versus eUnited. This is going to be a fantastic one. We start on Exhibit. I think this is really going to be the tail of the tape, though. Is eUnited going to have something different to showcase for after that loss last night, or will it be more of the same for them and they find themselves in an 0-1 hole to Oxygen, who is fighting for everything in their life right now in this Pro League?
Yep, and this is definitely going to be an uphill battle because, like I said, they're not able to control their own destiny. Even if they win this matchup, it's all over for them to where they have to sit there and hopefully they can catch that sideline matchup against Noble and elevate. So the pressure is definitely on Oxygen to perform. But I talked about something to prove, and I'm going to say it again. eUnited lost this map heavily against Rise. I do believe they might have lost it early on in the season against Hive as well. So they definitely have something to prove on Exhibit as well. Historically, they're one of the best teams on this map, and they need to be able to pick it up, especially going to that major. They will see this map time and time again.
So here we go, Xplosive over the top, trying to look down, trying to survey the area. You see multiple members trying to make moves around the bottom of the map, and Kenny now. I actually love this little display by eUnited, switching up a few of their pieces. Kenny has been known from time to time to go up top and take that 1v. They know how good Praized is in the 1v spot in a lot of different situations and maps, so they move him up there. Now Xplosive is taking over the B hill. He's going to have that cap off, and it's going to be up to Oxygen to go for a retake. And Abolics playing the Krampus looks to be Christmas spoiler here in this round one. I think he's trying to catch the little top of that shoulder blade, try to get some damage there on Xplosive, but he's not going to find anything whatsoever. By the way, PR.
Wait a minute.
What's up?
Dude, did you notice what I feel like we might be noticing the same thing right now? Because I'm looking at Mr. Bricklayer Praized himself towards the top side of the map. That is a spot that we know Kenny to really go ahead and control. He plays it against the best of the best, and even at time, he's able to buy his team some time. So interesting to see the switch up of strategy coming out from eUnited, and Powerz with a massive double kill towards the low side. He got Xplosive and Kenny working together. That's 3 players dead, and now it's going to be Morality versus Praized, and he actually gets down by Praized, unable to gain an inch. In eUnited with a little strat coming through, new positioning with their players. They're going to strike hot in round number 1. I'm going to go ahead and toss it over to you, Colin. Do you think that is a direct result of last night's Rise play?
I think what you got to do is start to figure out where your mishaps and your missteps go. And Kenny, as good as he is up there, with the ability to kind of play that 1v, with the ability for him to control dictate the pace of that 1v, I mean, you can't tell me, going all the way back to his Ultimate Edition days, Praized on top of War Machine was the best in the world at dictating the pace of a fight. Being that inside mansion player for Envious way back when, being able to dictate how quickly people can take those fights. You saw how patient he was. He saw that they got that early pick on the B hill, and he said, I can sit here until eternity, until the sun burns out, and make you play against me. And with the way he hits shots, it's going to be very hard to play up against him. The thing that I've got a big question about is right there in that round, Powerz got 2v1 for a hot moment. He had a little bit of help from Xplosive, but then Powerz ends up finishing off both of the kills. If he doesn't get those double kills like that every round, does that just come back to bite him? And right here already, Zoom has got 2 of his own, so that should easily give the advantage over to Oxygen.
Yeah, I feel like Zoom did have some help over the top from that middle player, similar like you see Xplosive do for eUnited, but this time we see Kenny in this situation trying to buy some time, trying to overextend, but this time it's Praized's turn. He plays slow, he plays steady, making sure to hit as full of a spread as possible, and right now he's all the way on Oxygen's side, so they have to be very, very careful. He's actually going to toy with him. He's going to try and go in for this hill, and he knows his teammates can try to go for that neutral hill as well, but he needs to be careful with this elimination that did come through on Abolics. He will get flagged here in just a short moment, which is why you see him trying to press up, but he bites off more than he could chew. He pushes forward at the wrong time, and 3 members of eUnited will fall because of it.
3 members of eUnited are just going to be thrown to the wayside here, and Oxygen still pressuring forward. Kenny last alive for his squad, coming off of respawn here, and you can see where Oxygen, they're not even pressuring the issue. They know they're going to be doubling up the points here in about 20 or 30 seconds, so they can play back, play into the defensive stand of eUnited, and what they're doing is actually letting Kenny try to pressure this 2v1, but I mean, beautiful little rotation by Oxygen, if you ask me, to be able to pressure up and help out their teammate. Now Xplosive trades out on one, goes for a back A there. Beautiful job, but Praized, they've done a 3rd member up top. A 3rd member of eUnited has gone up top, which is going to give them the home-to-home split here momentarily. That is a beautiful game plan by them. It should force the rest of the players of Oxygen to kind of scramble about and make a move, make a decision. And oh my goodness gracious, good God almighty, how the tides have turned and how the coin flipped. But that could easily put Oxygen back in the lead in this one, getting that kill on Praized.
Yeah, that's going to be a big kill on Praized. It's about what you do after that kill, the rotations, where you're going to use your team's morale to go ahead and push forward. As you see, 2 players already pushing towards the left side. Kenny's set up along with Powerz, so it's about hitting your shots. Full spreads need to be hit by Kenny because the pre-damage is there. Down coming through for 1. Grabs the meat shield in the nick of time, bouncing around, trying to stay alive. He does, and that's going to basically be a double kill. Possibly more to come through as you see eUnited pushing forward. They're trying to create some separation. They have the win condition as well, but they need to continue to play in their advantage, but they realize these players are backed up from oxygen. They're set up pretty well from defensively. They're not going to be able to get the elimination, so they're going to have to back off. Set up for a little bit of aggressive setup, get them to waste their utility for the 50 point, and make it to where even if they break that neutral, it's not going to be enough. But right now, United have to hold on for just a few more seconds.
They're going to have to hold on for about, I think, 6 more seconds in general. They got to get it down under 10 seconds for them to get him. And the Voltok of Xplosive is doing a lot of damage, but it's not getting any downs or kills just yet. Now down to 5. And, I mean, just too little too late. That's one of those situations that we've talked about before. Oh, my God. It could not be too little too late. You got to get this cap off. 1 second left. You're going to see the point cap up. Does it in favor. eUnited, they're going to win back-to-back rounds on the knife's edge on a lightning bolt's corner. And, my God, I thought that was already over, but Abolics, the man with a plan, a man to watch prior to the matchup, comes away with a 1v1 victory to make it that much closer. 1 second differential. That is the great thing about Gears Esports. It's one of the things that people can't hype up enough. We have rounds that come down to singular seconds, momentary decision-making. You are splitting hairs. You are cutting it as close as you possibly can. Fine as frog's hair, my man. That was beautiful. And eUnited, they're up 2-0 already, PR.
Yep, and that's what you got to have on the side of eUnited, the composure, the endurance, the stamina to be able to, even when you're down and behind, you can pick it up time and time again. And I think that's one of the greatest strengths, I say one of, because there's many on the side of eUnited that they're able to do, bounce back at a moment's notice, which is why I say if you're looking to beat this team, you have to start hot, you have to win the first early rounds, so that way when that comeback potential is there, if they do it, you can easily shut it down. But Kenny gets shut down early by Abolics, 2 hills under oxygen control early on, but Powerz not letting this one go without a fight. He gets 1 elimination, tries to go for a down, and this is where we see the up top fight with Praized. He's gonna win it against morality. Powerz gets the decap on the hill, knows Xplosive is getting a little 2v1 push, goes for the first down. He's not letting him off this pressure. There goes 1 quick kill coming through. Abolics is in such a bad situation. Double kill from Powerz yet again, and this is looking scary. He's beginning to heat up, and already eUnited has been coming back and winning these rounds, and now we're gonna be able to see what they're gonna do with an early advantage.
One of the things that's kind of curious to me is Xplosive ends up putting himself in that secondary fight. He gets killed off, which gets rid of that retro for about another minute or so before it comes back, and then they are able to pick up another one. Praized gets that down, but he's going to go down to Abolics. Once again, Abolics just absolutely fantastic in these fights. 4v3 on the map now. This is where that retro would come in handy, if you ask me. He puts himself in the fight and gets killed off. That retro would be hell on wheels if you had to fight back against it. But you can see how the players of eUnited are trying to scramble around, trying to find a little bit of an opening. But, I mean, there's nowhere really to be able to run or hide. Kenny now pushing up to that corner. He just kind of stuck there. Flash out. Going to be fighting against the tide. Xplosive has gone all the way across home to home, trying to fight off Abolics. Xplosive will win that fight, though. And it'll be a 2v2 down here at the B Hill momentarily.
Yep, that big win over on the home hill kind of lessens up the pressure that Kenny and Praized are facing right now, because they're going to be able to rack up some points in that 2-1, and now they wait for that perfect moment. Big damage being answered back. Quick down from Xplosive. They get the triangle chokehold to get these eliminations on these players. Rocky falls as well. Late into this game, you see what happens when you overextend. Xplosive able to stay alive, cause some confusion, be annoying as possible. Now they're going to be able to backtrack, get that neutral, but look at that. They still continue to have these 2 hills under their control. Oxygen needs to figure out a way to play this to perfection. They're going to have 1 attempt. They need to get all these eliminations to let nobody sneak by.
Powerz picks one off pretty easily, playing the hide-and-seek role. Down to just 15 seconds, 4v3 on the map. Powerz hits another little reaction shot there. Zoom will finally shut him down, but Xplosive doing a fantastic job being the leader that he needs to be, keeping his troops in line, keeping the soldiers going and pressing forward on the margin. quick little note for all of you at home. If you want to go out there and follow Xplosive on Twitter or Twitch, you need to get out there and do it, because as you can see on the back of Xplosive, he has the TCA Recruit Lancer. That means he's one of the guys that makes a lot of content for Gears. He goes out, puts his best face and foot forward for all of you. So make sure you get out there and continue to support not only your favorite pro players and teams, but make sure you support them individually on all avenues. We build each other up, make this a standout performance and scene to be a part of.
Hey, you want that man to start streaming? You guys let him know that you want him to start streaming. Spam his Twitter during the match, after the match, during the major, after the major. Let him know that you want to see more of him, and maybe even Powerz as well if you guys like that sort of thing. I know I'm a fan of Powerz and what he's been able to do, but 3-0, eUnited kind of leading the charge. I want to go and ask you, I know you have their prediction as well as I do in the chat for eUnited. Do you have any quick tips for Oxygen to bounce back into this one?
I think they have to start playing the pressure roll up top. They need to throw a little curveball at players. They need to try to get Praized off of his comfort zone where he can take the fight however he wants. You see Xplosive, he's going to be able to control and dictate his pacing. And you never want to give Powerz that kind of help over the top. You see him already got one, 2 shots down, a third on another, trying to shoot over the cover. It's going to be up to Abolics to stay alive in this, but
they don't want to win.
You cannot give Powerz the fights he wants. When he's feeling good, when he's feeling loose, it's too difficult to kill him or anybody from eUnited, and that's one of the things that Rise did very well. Rise was able to control Powerz. They were able to put chains on him and keep him from getting loose, getting crazy, and getting comfortable, while his Oxygen is kind of allowing Powerz, Xplosive, whoever wants to go off in a given round to kind of have their way. A little missed shot there from Xplosive, but again, the man that we keep highlighting, just continuing to put on a show. Stop it. Stop it, good sir. They
Can't he do it again? Can't he do it again? Oh, so there's still the last
Somebody's
breath.
kids are alive. Somebody's kids are alive. That's all that matters.
But you see the confidence coming through. Praise is going to lock down that angle. He knows he has help through the center, so Zoom, he's going to play a role in this of trying to get that opening, but he needs to stay alive. He goes down. That creates an opening for the rest of the members of eUnited to push, clean up that kill on the other side of the map, and keep this aggressive setup intact. Somebody from Oxygen Esports needs to get some sort of room. They need to create some sort of separation, and that's why you see 2 players going up top. But if they get eliminated, not able to press forward anymore, it's all going to come to an end here in the 4th round.
You can see as these players pull right up top for Oxygen. All right. Okay. All right, Powerz. Okay, Powerz.
This is just too much. They're just too much right now. They're deflating Oxygen. They're just suffocating them. That fire is about to go out because Oxygen is about to be ended here in this round. They eclipsed the 200-point mark, and nobody from Oxygen is past the 50-point mark. It's going to be up to Zoom here. If Zoom dies, it's all over in this round. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to make that bold prediction.
He just flashed himself, so I've got bad news for everybody at home that wanted to see them win this round, especially with Praized waiting on that left hand. Kenny still has the ability to shoot him from the right side. That is just beautiful teamwork by Kenny and Powerz. Excuse me, not Praized, but Powerz up there. That is 4-0. That is 4 dominant rounds back to back to back to back. They need one more round to kind of cap this off. I almost at this point, I would love to see more aggression out of Oxygen with like a weapon placement. You're losing these rounds pretty
Does that weapon placement go up top or down low?
I'd put it up top, make it a little more confusing.
You know, honestly, Con, I'm glad you said that because nobody practices it. You can put 3 people up top, push over, watch out for the lasers, though. You got to play some limbo. Hopefully you're flexible as can be because they will put a thorn into any strategy. But honestly, you get the cross up top. It takes so long to flank down low, and then obviously the decision to cap the hill versus not. So if somebody does go for a Mr. Krabs play, I do think it should be telegraphed. So it's going to be null and void, though, because there's going to be no big weapon going down up top. It's going to be a split with Retro and Hammerburst between a shot grenade and a bolt talk. You got to think this has to favor eUnited the way they've been playing, right?
I mean, if you don't change the fight and you continue to bash your head against the wall, that's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing with expecting different results when you continue to fail at it. I know there's a lot of talent on the side of Oxygen, and Rocky is one of the most talented players we have on our circuit. But look at the way Xplosive is able to use that trigger control, able to pop 1-2 shots onto him. And from a retro standpoint, that Lancer Mark 1, that thing has got a hell of a kick, but it's got a hell of a caliber round in it as well. It'll put you down on all fours quicker than you can blink of an eye. And especially if you're going against Powerz, he's got to play into Powerz getting shot by a retro. This is the fight that they need to win. Morality needs to come away with that victory. and he does, which will now open up the home-to-home stretch. But Morality's actually going to go for a full-force flank on multiple members from eUnited.
Yeah, that only works here if the rest of his team can stay alive and buy him time. But look at Kenny. Even though Praized did lose that, gave the matchup advantage to Oxygen, Kenny was able to rotate and be a thorn in the side. Morality gets a kill, but it comes at a cost. More players from Oxygen do get taken down. Zoom is stuck in no man's land, forced to retreat, but he's just retreating, trying to wait for his team to come back into action, getting Lancered in the back, forced to go up against Praized, and Xplosive misrolls into the wall, gets taken out. Kenny falls as a trade, but right now it's eUnited. They're the ones getting the positioning. They're getting the man advantage. They're staggering the deaths. They're doing everything right here early on. So I'm going to need some big plays coming out from Oxygen. Maybe a big double kill, something clutch, because right now they're just getting picked apart one by one by one.
And now you see, look at this, how they've set the retro in the middle of the map. I'd love to get a look at Xplosive. I want to kind of look over his shoulder and see what he's going to see, because you see the position he's in? He's got those fences to kind of shoot anybody coming out of spawn, stop them from rotating around the map comfortably. And now when they come in from that left hallway, he's got the easy 90-degree angle to shoot both of these players in the back. That is what I like to call the linchpin, the key to victory when it comes to a defensive stand. He dies right there, trying to get a little over-aggressive, trying to get a little flash and dash against Rocky. But the thing that I think cannot be understated is how important Xplosive and that retro was to that defensive setup. And now, this 20 or 30 point lead that's only going to continue to build is in no small part and is in thanks in favor to Xplosive.
I feel like I'm a criminal right now because the only thing on my mind when I look at praising them down low is them stealing that shot grenade away. There's nobody really there to stop them, especially since they're getting taken out up top. There goes a double down from Xplosive and Kenny. He's going to kill, well, I was about to say he's going to kill one, stagger the deaths from the other, but he wants to get both of these eliminations and push through with El Capitan himself. Zoom falls down low, 3 players eliminated, and make that 4 as Rocky goes down, and this is the final round. They don't need it, but they want to have a party onto the home mill, the shock to create separation, and that is going to be it. eUnited stomp themselves out of victory 5-0 over Oxygen.
Kenny with the last second retro charge, insult to injury, salt in the wound, dropping lemon in the wound as well. He said, I hope it stings, I hope it burns, I hope you find yourself an emergency room for some cauterization, but I hope that I find all of you right back here for maps 2 and possibly 3 between eUnited and Oxygen Esports. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to match number 1 between Oxygen Esports and eUnited. Map number 1 ends up probably quicker than a lot of you would have expected based on their performance last night, but eUnited shut it down at 5-0, and I mean, it was on the backs of some absolutely fantastic plays, but most of those highlights, they're going to be made by the man, the myth, the legend, the Shinigami himself, Mr. M. Powerz.
And honestly, I can't only blame it on one person. I know our player to watch was Abolics, but that is an example of a complete and utter full team meltdown, and obviously eUnited taking full advantage of that. And now it's going to look even scarier, though. That wasn't even their map pick. Historically, it was one of their good maps, but now Foundation, a map that eUnited has called home when picking their own side of things. They don't care if they're COG, they don't care if they're Locust. All they care is they're the first ones to make the move, and they really have set the example on Foundation and set the blueprint of how to play it.
Well, you talk about setting examples. I'm about to make an example out of you.
Not
they
me.
don't care. They don't care if they're COG. They don't care if they're Swarm. It's Swarm in this one. BR, I know you're old school.
Okay, so I use a lot of these characters that are Swarm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Colin, you just reverse psychologed me right there. That was 100. You just reverse psychologed the heck out of me right there, and you made me say it right. So go ahead, do what you do. That's why you're the best.
I appreciate you. I hope you know how much I appreciate you. But hey, we go to Foundation next, and like you said, eUnited has kind of pushed the pacing on this map. They've kind of pushed the tempo with the way that they have figured out how to rotate players through the middle of the map. I actually think they're one of the teams that does the best job in the world at throwing smokes, because you don't see them that often in general, because people are like, oh, I got to have the flash so that I can get the automatic stun so I can take the 1v1 easier. But in a team-based game like Escalation, as team-based as it is, with all that team fire that can come out and how stalemated it can get, smokes are your friend. Clog sightlines. don't get marked out. And especially, I think it was you. You went on a literal tirade about somebody giving up 3 or 4 different plays back to back to back to back because they just kept getting marked. I can't remember what player it was.
It was the Vexies.
Well, poor Vexies because they did so good last night.
It's unfortunate because he was doing so many right things, especially on a map like Foundation, where I preach about getting that middle control, and that gives you options. I preach about it on a lot of maps, but on Foundation, it has definitely proven to be one of the biggest strengths, one of the biggest goals when you want to control the map is getting in there first through the middle, whether you're using Powerz to kind of flank through pistons, whether you're Xplosive, taking the control yourself. That really puts the options to you, whether you want to go either side of the map or straight through the middle. The thing of Vexies was kind of doing wrong is he was getting marked out. So those plays that kind of surprises the enemy team, he was kind of telegraphing it. So they were kind of preparing. They had a few more seconds to make some adjustments that they didn't normally have. So he needs to be careful, not necessarily him, but people in Foundation or those players that are playing that front spawn, getting the position that can get the options for your team, is you need to be careful if you're marked. And then on top of that, if you feel like you're in that situation where you're marked and you do have the time to spare, because not every situation is the same, you want to make sure to count in your head about 7 seconds. That mark will go away. You can even kind of toy with people. Run one direction, run back the other when that timer's up. You need to make sure you keep the enemy team guessing, but you also just can't make it easy.
And being marked out really does make it easy for a lot of people because when you can be seen like that, and I mean, I think we saw it where Avexi's was actually playing just outside of Pistons. He sat down once he was marked, and then one player moved in through the middle of the map and was actually able to lancer him down and out, or at least get enough damage on him to stop him from going for the flank. I think people underestimate just how important they are where it comes to that idea where you get the mark, you help your team with the team fire, even if you get one down out of it, even if you don't clean up the kill, you've hesitated that next move. You have forced a player to probably take the back seat rather than being up in the front of that flank or up in the front of that retake. They now have to play back. They have to play a little bit slower because they've already got one down. If they get 2 more, they're already out. They don't even have to be cleaned up at the CQC. So PR is actually absolutely spitting facts out here. He's giving you a 101 classroom, a boardroom edition. He says, look, I look damn good, so it's got to be the boardroom, but I'm giving you the basics of how to win these gunfights, so it's got to be classroom. He's doing both. My man's basically a professor with tenure at this point with how many people he's taught the game. So when he speaks, make sure you open your ears and listen. eUnited, Oxygen, though. What do you think the number one thing is Oxygen can do differently? Is it a power weapon? Is it simply just trying to change up the fight, make it unpredictable? Or do they have to just start overloading? They have to do something completely off the wall, throw spaghetti at it, and see if it sticks?
Honestly, they need to play with the same type of fire, the same type of aggression that really got them to the pro league in the first place. And I said it early on, that was one of my worries and one of my big question marks going into this team is what they can do when they're facing adversity. How much strategy and how much depth do they actually have? Because sooner or later, you're going to meet that brick wall. These players will begin to fight back and they will begin to pick up some of those eliminations. And right now, I haven't really seen a lot from Oxygen Esports coming out in that regard of strategy. So you need to go back into what was working. You need to either put that big weapon down or start off early. I talked about middle positioning. Maybe it's you on this map of Foundation, gets that middle control and keeps the team of eUnited guessing, figuring out where you're going to push, how aggressive it is going to be, especially on a map like Foundation before a lot of these weapon placements do go down. You can hold on to these setups a little bit longer than normal. But when you don't, when those rotations do come into play, you need to make sure you guys are on the same page and then you strike hot. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure you play with that, like I said, that fire that you guys had in the beginning before it's just all out.
And I think one of those players that it kind of comes down to, I know our player to watch for his ability to make a highlight reel was Abolics, but I'm going to go ahead and say I still think Rocky might be one of the best players on the planet when he's able to play a little bit more freely. We saw several times on Exhibit, once that retro went down, Xplosive kept him in check. It was never a true 1v1 against Powerz. I think Rocky has the ability to actually fight that out and do a little bit better than he did if there's no retro fire over the top. I'm looking to see his positioning. I want to see what power position he plays, if he's able to take true 1v1s or if he's going to have to worry about getting 2v1 most of this map. Because if he can get those true 1v1s, he's got the skill and the talent to really drive his team forward and home. But we are loading up map number 2 on Foundation. Not anymore. I got debated without a doubt. I was really excited for that too. Gotcha. I was like, I've got a really cool intro for Foundation, and I was about to just let that thing just go. I'm about to just let it fly, baby.
I think you didn't spoil it yet. Now you can get the extra thoughts in your belt. You can really rehearse it in your head how you really want it to sound. But like going into this, when I talked about, different things Oxygen needs to do, and one of the biggest things as well is getting that early lead. You can't go down on the half. You at least tie it up 2-2. Get some momentum on your side. Show that you guys really have a chance into this one. Because if you guys start losing these rounds convincingly, if you start losing these in those last second attempts, you're going to start getting deflated. You're not going to be able to pick yourselves up from underneath. And that's why I look at them team, and I look at Abolics and those players you mentioned, Rocky, to start off with those aggressive plays. And if you figure out you have that 1v1 scenario, a lot of the time it is going to be Praized playing in that 1v1 scenario. Before those retro is placed, if you have that player over there, Rocky, Abolics, or somebody that's confident enough to take that fight, maybe you start taking that fight where normally we would talk about don't put it up to a 1v1, but honestly, you have to pull out something from your bag of tricks. You need to start getting aggressive, and the way you do that is take these fights, and this is where it's going to come down to these first initial rounds to really show, does Oxygen have anything left in the tank, or are they on E?
Well, if they're going to be on E, if they're on the East Coast like your boy Colin, they're going to have to deal with a little bit of a gas shortage and quite the crazy prices at the Stay Filling Station right now. I think Tyro's actually doing better than I am right now. Tyro Station probably has a little less worry about their gas price than your boy here in VA, but you see everybody rolling out of spawn, coming down here to the middle of the map. Powerz will take that first initial box, and already we have the 2-1-1 that we normally see flashed out there, traded off against Abolics, and so far we are going to have a pretty evened up fighting situation because nobody's really going to be able to pressure. And I think the first little movement was made by Morality. He is pressed into that mid-box fight. He is trying to get across the map, a little bit of pressure onto Xplosive. And I think his job is to check him and make sure that he can't get into that position. But if I am Morality, I'm not that worried about it because I think what I need to be worried about is Praized, taking that T-table, able to put some extra shots on him. The flash is out. Now he is stunned.
Oh my God.
What a picture-perfect Lancer by Powerz to get that down.
Yeah, that first shot from Praized put the first bit of damage, but the second one from Powerz. But then it shows, you can kind of see they had two separate plans. Praized getting a little aggressive while they try to attack the middle. And that's going to be an opening. That Abolics, whoa, that's going to be a big shot coming out from Powerz. And all that for nothing as he gets taken down. Rocky falls, gets the elimination. Morality fighting for his own home. He'll back. Kenny Xplosive, they're not going to back up just yet. They're going to make sure that they keep this pressure on. They want to get these utilities out early just to get your side of the map back. So now that they're out of their pockets, they're going to have to fight tooth and nail just to get the bit of position. But two more downs coming through from Kenny and make that a third as him and Xplosive work together to secure this round out. Rocky falls, 4 players dead, and eUnited win their 6th straight round here in this series.
6 straight rounds. It is one hell of a streak, but it's almost as good as the streak that we got to see earlier in that round by Xplosive. He is already up to 4 kills. I mean, one more, and that man finds himself in a perfect position to start worrying about his stats much less than these round wins, because that's just going to be a picture-perfect stat line to try to write home about. But we both know Power. I mean, we both know Xplosive. We both know he don't give a hoot and a holler about what his stats say. All he cares about is dubs at this point in his career. It's extending that legacy and making it something insurmountable to all the players on the come-up. Boltox placed out by both squads already, so we're probably going to see similar thought processes, similar weapon trees built up for them as well. And I think the thing that we got to worry about, you saw Morality take that mid box. He said, yeah, I'm going to pressure up onto Xplosive. Well, I mean, the way that you talked about them needing a little bit more aggression, them needing to be able to play up a little bit more, it came back to bite him. Morality sat down. He didn't get aggressive on Xplosive, didn't throw a flash or anything, and then Praized was able to take that T-table and shoot out onto him.
Yep, and that's what I talk about, that positioning in the middle, where if it's in the middle on the T, middle of the map on that middle cover, even up top in the middle where Kenny likes to push forward, it's so important. And right now, they use their smoke, they cloud him out, they're trying to take that positioning, but Abolics escapes, Zoom gets the down, but Abolics gets taken down for it. He got so much damage put onto him. Morality doing what he can, it's all coming at a cost. Trades coming back and forth, but it does look like eUnited will get the last laugh in the middle. Now they have a 2v1 scenario to go down. Praized and Powerz working together. Big shots being fired out from Zoom. He gets the down, but unfortunately, the 2v1 is going to cost him in the end. Powerz gets the last laugh. eUnited will be the first team to control 2 hills, and you already see Rocky backing up, making some adjustments on the other side of the map as Abolics comes off of rotation. They're trying to catch somebody from eUnited out of position.
And I don't know if they're going to be able to catch anybody, because there it is. Player 7 Xplosive has actually moved up to the top.
Ooh.
Rocky on the backside did indeed help catch that player out of position, help get that kill, and now rotating over for the home-to-home stretch. But This is one of the things that I always like to talk about and kind of point out. eUnited to me is a very tough opponent, very tough out for anybody on this map, simply because of how many reps and championships they have won on this map in general. They know every nook, cranny, angle, and possible sector to fly, dash, and crash around. And you see Xplosive just baiting out players from Oxygen to get into any position for Kenny to be able to lance them out. The extra Boltok ammo has now been picked up by Rocky, which will allow them to stay in this fight a little bit longer. They're actually going to rotate a third player over here. I believe that's Praized, and they get the mark out on him. Here comes both players pushing up, trying to get that secondary shot. It's a beautiful little play here in the middle of the map. Powerz has to hold his own, trying to fend off that two-man push there. He's going to go down, and now a second player has died. Good job there by Morality, and this is what we talked. This is what you talked about. I can't even take the credit for it. You said they got to get aggressive. They got to go for some flanks, maybe try to pressure up onto eUnited, and so far this round, it has worked.
Yep, it was Zoom and Morality working together. Zoom was on the home hill, helping that home-to-home fight. He rolls to the right, gets down mid-ramp, and helps again for that middle Morality. They almost got to think they know he's there, but he's hiding, gets a good shot to go off on two different players, but doesn't have the help necessary from Zoom in this fight like he did in the last, and it's going to cost them in the end. Powerz with Praise, I do believe that was, gets another double kill, and you can see it. They're extending forward. They're going ahead and not letting this one go down to the wire. They realize they do need some points, some crucial points later in the game. You see the win condition change. So now it's going to be up to Oxygen to make these points, but you see how aggressive eUnited is getting. Big kill on Kenny from Rocky this late into the game. It could change the tides, but you need to make sure you get the decap on these hills simultaneously.
And right now, they're not at B. They're going to have one player, Zoom, trying to come into the front. Powerz goes for the reaction shot. Won't be able to find that one, but he does go down to the secondary fight. It's going to be up to Abolics. He's going to try to make it all the way over to A, but not in time. Not enough. eUnited, even with a fantastic play early in that round by Morality, it is not going to happen for them. They go down 2 rounds in a row. And what, my man PR, have you seen that made you say, oh my God?
Just the 249. That's just insane right now because of how well that was orchestrated by Ox. They just needed to hold on a capture for not even a full second to come through. And I'm just laughing because I would love to see the stopwatch. That was 249.9 to 250.
I mean, last map we had what, down to 1 second at maximum. This one we've got it probably less than a second. Finer than frog's hair, my man. Finer than frog's hair. And if they had wings, they wouldn't bump their butt on the rocks when they tried to fly. We see the retros out, and I think one of the things that Oxygen needs to do is take away the victory that they can rotate around the map. They can put pressure on different players from the side of eUnited and be able to use that going forward. I think the only thing that eUnited can do at this point is just try to call them out, do a little bit better job of lane priority, but with a retro in the hands of Kenny up top, it's going to be that much harder because now Rocky won't be able to have that insta-give capability. I think last round he got that kill off of double active headshots to the Boltok. Ooh, oh, Powerz isn't marked. There it goes. They know he's there now. I was going to say, if they have no idea that he's rolling up on Morality, somebody needs to call him and/or an ambulance.
Ooh. What?
A beautiful job.
I honestly have never seen an easier double kill in my life. Make that almost a triple kill as Kenny goes down as well. That looked like Morality was watching that one in slow motion, the way the kills presented themselves. So now we're going to see Oxygen Esports with the upper hand. And yet another round here, they're going to have the opportunity to set up defensively how they so please. So it's going to be up to eUnited off of respawn, collecting the information, figure out where you're going to go. And we've seen this strategy once before, both Kenny and Xplosive going towards the statue side of the map, trying to overextend to stretch out the defense. But they need to be careful because right now it's Abolics sitting at the top of the ramp. He's the one collecting the information, figuring out which players go right to the ramp, which players go left of the ramp. And that's going to go ahead and call out where the push is actually going to come through. But Xplosive being as sneaky as possible, trying to catch somebody off guard. This is the opportunity to get a kill, but with control of the map, he's spotted out. They know the rotation's coming through. He's going to stop for some damage. Hopefully the rest of the team's going to be able to back him up. Zoom goes down. One elimination coming through. Praise gets yet another double kill. So eUnited, after falling early, figure out a way to bounce back.
Back A there by Powerz as he rolls back down the hill. We'll get the third one. Now it's going to be up to Rocky, who's full red. He's down and dead. It is all up to now Zoom to try to keep them into this one as the hills will get decapped and the retakes will come through for eUnited. I think Praized had to rotate back over and try to get back into that hill. You can see the triple gap domination timing in. Morality goes in, gets one. Now it's a 2v1 against Kenny, and they're going to finish him off in quick succession. That will buy eUnited some time, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to save themselves in this round. As you see, Praized has to back all the way up, and I think they sent Powerz up to their top ramp, and now multiple members, I believe it's 3 altogether, 4 of them. All 4 of them are here at B. 3 of them from the middle cut, and 2 of them, or 1 of them at their ramp. But they need to get shut down quickly if eUnited wants to stay in this round. Powerz is not going to get squished, but he makes the decision.
No.
He makes the move.
No.
Powerz does it yet again. He's in a groove. That man. Oh, he's got a message. He's got a little message. You can't see what he's reeling in, but it's not a big mouth bass. I can tell you that.
Kenny wants the 5. He wants the 5. But he has to cap the hill. He's not going to get the 5. No retro charge for you, mister. Only an ace for Mr. Praized. Or Mr. Powerz himself, excuse me, Bear, but 3-0. And that goes to show it doesn't matter if you win the initial, you win the mid portions of the game. You have to hold on 100% of the time against a team like eUnited because they will make those last second pushes. Oxygen was holding on. They were defensively set up. They had everything they wanted, but eUnited just snatched it away. And you saw Xplosive was the player going in. He made those first moves and he opened up the doors for eUnited, which is huge. Morality's doing everything he can. He had 2 different double kills in that round, but Oxygen was unable to just capitalize fully.
And I think one of the things that can be said for the side of eUnited right there is their ability to kind of fight back quicker. You see a lot of teams when they go on a retake, it takes a long time for them to be able to get back into their rotation, get back into their setup, and be able to pressure an opponent. eUnited takes like negative time to do it. It seems like they are off to the races quicker than just about anybody else on the planet when it comes to that retake, when it comes to getting back into that fight, except maybe a Pittsburgh Knights or a Vanquish. And now you see Praized trying to fight off Zoom here at the backside of the table. Goes for that back shoulder shot. Won't find him on the first one. Will find the second one. Little easy L trigger over the top. Will get him that down as well. And it looks like Powerz said, hey, look, I'm going to fly off to the next hill. You need to take care of business.
Oh, no.
Yo, my man.
They don't care. They don't care. This is the scary version of eUnited that we're seeing right now. Nothing is going to stop them. And right now, they're playing with such confidence. They're knowingly upping. They're knowingly pushing into things that they should possibly die to just because they're feeling themselves. They're feeling the situation. Their team fire is just on point. Their shotguns are just unstoppable. And there it goes, 4-0. This is looking like an avalanche that Oxygen can't wake up from.
Hey, look, Oxygen right now probably feels like they're on a bad first date and they're looking up at the waiter saying, check, please. We've lost 9 rounds in a row. We'd like to go at this point because this ain't going in our favor whatsoever. eUnited, on the other hand, they're looking down and saying, what's the most expensive dessert I can order? Because 10-0, 2-0 victory is in their sight, in their grasp. We come to the first round of the second half. That mid-neutral hill will flip over to the statue, and those 2 homes will be at the welding and fountains. And we kind of see how this second half very much slows down, where players kind of get, I don't want to say scared necessarily, but they definitely do not fly around as quickly as they do in that first half, as they can take over that mid-neutral with that incendiary, can easily catch them as they go into the backside of that statue. And here they come. The stun's out from both squads. Powerz is going to get tagged up a little bit. Kenny is going to make that come true. There goes Abolics.
Well, I'm just like, where was Abolics at when he was on the statue? Kind of a standard, but didn't really watch out for it. Zoom doing what he can, and honestly, it just kind of sucks for individuals sometimes in this fight. When you have a full team just suffocating you, not letting up off the pressure, it's almost like there's nothing you can do as an individual. So Oxygen needs to figure out a way to stop the bleeding, slow this one down, and fire back as a full roster. There should be no move made by a single individual that isn't okayed or worked through in the plan as a full team. But morality, he goes down again from Kenny, left out in the middle. It doesn't look like Abolics is trying to go in and get the revive, but it's just a bait coming out from Powerz. Basically, 2 players dead. Big Boltok shots firing off. Rocky needs to be careful. He looks to his right, and he sees a stampede. He is just getting run over by eUnited right now, and there's nothing they can do to stop him. Zoom gets 1, but it's just not going to be enough. Triple cap domination sounding off, and there it goes, 5-0. And this Thanos snap, half of the team disappears.
If I was the waiter, if I was the maitre d' and I saw for the check being called, I'd say, man, I saw how bad this was looking from the time y'all say, hey, look, there's that big mount bass that Powerz caught earlier. He reeled it in again. Appreciate you for that one, Powerz. Love you, see you to be the MVP. I can't tell you enough, and I can't stress enough, PR, that knocked me off my socks, man. That was just so quick. That was just an unbelievably fast 2 maps for eUnited. I'm sure our beautiful observers in the back, and I'm sure Meerkat caught some highlights from that map too. But if I am Oxygen, I'm cutting him a check to not have caught anything.
I'm like,
forget that
plus
map ever
minus
happened.
15 seconds on the highlights. Plus minus 15 seconds, Colin. What you got? What you got in there? Was the match long enough?
I'll go over 15 just because I know Meerkat's probably like, we got to fill some airtime. I better hit this record button there. We're already at 7 seconds. I started a timer. We're already at 7. So I'm getting my money out of this one. I'm getting my plus 15 out of this. All right, baby.
You said Oxygen was on a bad day. eUnited felt that same pressure, and they just dined and dashed on him. They're leaving Oxygen with a check after that first map, but that shows the power of eUnited, and it shows the statement that I made. They have something to prove after that loss to Rise. That's what I'm saying. It's plain and simple. They want to go into that major with just complete and utter destruction.
Yeah, and
it was 2-0. Oh my God.
Yeah, that is.
I forgot about the first map.
You forgot? Oh my God! Oh Jesus! Don't
fire me, please. I forgot about the first map. That was too quick. I feel bad. That's not a way to end the split.
That's kind of perfect. Look, again, Oxygen wanted Meerkat to forget map 2. What they got was you forgetting map 1. Hey, look, you even forget. It's because we went to a commercial break and you and I spent too many times telling corny dad jokes. That's the only problem. And you're not even a dad. I don't know how you got those corny dad jokes. We're supposed to be a collective fraternity, but we have got Elevate and Noble lined up for everybody. The side station